It is a really big week in the real estate industry, not just in Mammoth, not just in California, but nationwide. Some big changes are happening effective August 17th, 2024. You might have heard about this on the news or from your agent, but here I am to tell you a little bit about what's going to happen and how it might affect you. Let's start first with sellers. Historically, when the seller signed a listing agreement with their agent, they agreed to pay a certain amount of commission. Generally, in our area, although it's negotiable, they would be paying 5%. 2.5% or half of it would go to the listing agent, and the other half, 2.5%, would go to the buyer's agent. Starting August 17th, listing agreements will not include offers of compensation to the buyer's agent. So if I get a new listing today and I meet with the seller, it's strictly going to say what he or she is paying me as their agent or the listing agent. Now, that doesn't mean that they can't also offer to pay the buyer's agent, and that's all part of the negotiation. What it means to the seller is they have more negotiation options when they're dealing with their client. In the past, it's been built into the price. They knew they were going to pay 5%, so they priced it accordingly or priced their property accordingly. Now let's talk about buyers. If you call me to view a property today, let's say 123 Main Street, I'm happy to show you that property, but not until you sign what's called a buyer's representation agreement. Now, the buyer's representation agreement sounds like a big long name for scary form, but it actually is pretty simple. It says if you end up buying the property I show you, you will owe me commission. We negotiate on the amount. Again, in our market, it's historically been 2.5%. So the buyer's broker's agreement could be as simple as if you buy 123 Main Street in the next 3 months, you will owe me 2.5% if that property closes successfully. Now, of course, we're going to try to get the seller to pay that. So when we write the offer will say seller to pay buyer's agent 2.5% commission. And then we're right back where we were in the old days, as in this week. We're right back to how it was. However, if the seller chooses not to pay the commission or a lesser amount, let's say they want to pay 2%, then the seller will actually pay the buyer's agent 2%, and you as the buyer would pay me the difference or the 0.5%, getting me to the compensation which we agreed on, which was 2.5%. Get it? It can also be a little more complicated. We could write the form for any property in Mammoth. We could write it for a different amount of commission. So these are all things that are going to be changing just to be more transparent. So it was confusing to people who was paying commission in the past. The goal of all these changes, which resulted in from a lawsuit, the National Association of Realtors settled, and this was the result of that settlement. We have to be very clear about who is paying for what and how much. It cannot be ambiguous, and we need to remind you that commission rates are negotiable. If you have any questions about this, please check out the link down below. It'll take you to 2 articles that I wrote on the topic, how it affects buyers and sellers, and then one a little more detailed about this buyer's representation agreement. A lot of changes, a lot of confusion. I'm sure the first few months will be chaotic, but we'll work through it and we'll get to the other side, and people will be able to buy and sell properties as they always have, and agents will continue to get paid. Again, visit destinationmammoth.com and visit our blog for posts on all of these topics and much more.